The Federal Reserve's recent maneuvers have been raising eyebrows and sparking conversations across the board. Let's dive into this Fed pivot and dissect what it means for the average person on the street. So, the Federal Reserve, often just called the Fed, is essentially the big cheese when it comes to monetary policy in the United States. And right now, they're executing what's being termed as a shift in their approach. This shift involves two major players: interest rates and money printing, also known as quantitative easing. Now, Jerome Powell, the head honcho at the Fed, hasn't explicitly said, "Hey, we're cutting interest rates in 2024." But there's a buzz in the air, and it's based on the projections the Fed has put out. According to these projections, there's an expectation of 3 interest rate cuts in 2024, aiming to hit a projected Fed funds interest rate of 4.6%. But it doesn't stop there. The Fed is eyeing a continued trend of cutting interest rates beyond 2024, as per their crystal ball projections for 2025 and 2026. What does this mean for you and me? Well, it could impact things like mortgage rates. While the crystal ball might not be showing a 3% interest rate on a mortgage in 2024, it's hinting that it could become a possibility in 2025 or 2026. Now, let's unpack the term easy money. It's not just a catchy phrase, it's a combo deal. It includes lower interest rates and money printing. Money printing, in this context, means the Fed is digitally creating money and then lending it out by purchasing debts, often in the form of bonds. It's like magic money creation happening in the digital realm. But, and there's always a but, there's another term to throw into the mix: quantitative tightening. This is the process of taking money out of the system, and the Fed is doing this right now. They're like the financial bouncers, removing up to $95 billion a month from the system. Why? To combat inflation. They don't want the economy to overheat. You can track this removal of money on the New York Fed website through something called the System Open Market Account Holdings of Domestic Securities, SOMA. The Fed has plans to gradually reduce this money-removing spree in the future. It's like they're loosening their grip on the financial reins. Now, here's where it gets interesting. The Fed is planning to shift from quantitative tightening to quantitative easing. Confused yet? Let me break it down. Quantitative easing is the opposite of tightening. It's when the Fed goes back to creating money digitally and lending it to governments and institutions. It's like a financial seesaw, they're easing up on the taking money away part and going back to the creating money part. This shift to an easier monetary policy is expected to have some consequences, particularly in the form of inflation. You might have heard about inflation. It's when the prices of goods and services go up. And the expectation is that this easier monetary policy might add some fuel to the inflationary fire, potentially making prices rise even more. But here's the catch: the full impact of this inflation might not hit until 2025. It's like a delayed reaction. Why? Well, it's a bit of a guessing game, but some experts think it won't be fully felt until 2025 because, by then, the focus on inflation might not be as intense. Why? Because it won't be an election year. So, what does all this financial jargon mean for you and me? The bottom line is that the economy is influenced by the direction of monetary policy, and we're basically along for the ride. The decisions made by central bankers, like those at the Fed, have a ripple effect on our everyday lives, from the cost of borrowing to the prices we pay for goods and services. It's like being in a financial game of chess, and the moves made by these central bankers can impact whether we're winning or losing. The hope is that these monetary maneuvers will keep the economy in check, avoiding extremes like runaway inflation or a financial downturn. But, of course, there's always a level of uncertainty. Will the Fed's plan work as intended, or will there be unforeseen consequences? Only time will tell. For now, it's a waiting game, and the average person might find themselves at the mercy of these central bankers and their strategies. So, as we navigate through the twists and turns of monetary policy, keep an eye on your wallet, watch for changes in interest rates, And brace yourself for potential shifts in the economic landscape. After all, in this financial roller coaster, we're all just passengers holding on and hoping for a smooth ride. Please go ahead liking, subscribing, and sharing with friends to support our content. The information is for general purposes. Viewers should conduct research and consult professionals for financial decisions.